This is Sad Boy Radio.
Ooh, Vicky.
Alright, guys, well, thanks for tuning in. This is the first episode of Sad Boy Radio. Today, the first guest is going to be my boy Vic. So,
Yo, what up?
Yeah, set up courtesy of him and everything, too, in the studio. But, really, we wanted to talk today about different aspects of the music industry and the mental health tolls it kind of takes on everybody, right? Something that's very prevalent within the music industry is fame. How do people react to fame? Do they really enjoy being famous, So my first question for you is, would you like to be famous in a sense? What that entails is having everybody know who you are, the good, the bad, and everything in the middle.
Personally, I used to think about this a lot as a kid. As far as like the music level or like entertainment level, I used to want to be famous, but now I'm just kind of like, it is what it is. That's why I switched from being an artist to an engineer and producer, because I like being more behind the scenes. But for me, I just kind of feel like, what, if it happens, it happens. I feel like it's not necessarily or 100% a choice, but I just feel like, if it were to happen, I would embrace it and just use my platform as much as possible to, spread good, do good. But as far as like wanting to be famous, I don't feel a desire to be famous. If it happens, it happens.
For sure. And right now you are starting your own company, Blue Door Studios.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We can
Represent.
definitely shorten it out to BDS for now, right? Where do you see that going? How would you feel if that
To the
did
moon.
blow up? If it did blow up, hopefully it does. Everybody in the team's in the room. What do you see for Blue Door Studios?
I see us being a household name. Honestly, I just feel like there's not, I know we have Cole Bennett and Lyrical Lemonade, but as far as like the musicals and everything else surrounding the music industry, like the videos, the photographs, the editing, even down to the copyrights and the laws, and even the recording and the mixing and the mastering, and even down to the beat production, even the songwriting, because as we know, not all artists write their own songs. I just feel like we don't have that in Chicago. We don't have a hub. Everyone wants to go to LA, everyone wants to go to Atlanta, everyone wants to go to New York, but it's like I wanted to start that here for us, and I want that to be a citywide name, like a household name in Chicago. Like, oh, go to Blue Door Studios, you need this. Go to Blue Door Studios, you need that. Like, there's so much stuff that we're gonna offer that we're not even advertising now, because honestly, we just don't have the manpower behind it. Like me, Fred. I mean, you're part of the team too. Like Pyro, like we can't do everything. We got Horace and Chop too, but like we can't all do everything, and we just have so much more that we're going to provide that the public doesn't even know about yet, that I haven't even advertised, that probably you guys don't even know about, that's on the team. But I see us being a household name, and I see us being around for a very long time, as long as the world is still here.
Oh yeah, for sure. And that's why I hopped on in the first place, right? One of my first conversations.
Just a side note, everyone in my company, Blue Door Studios, is somebody that I know personally, and everyone knows that I meant it when I was in school that, I'm going to try to put people on, and I'm going to try to like provide opportunities for those that are close to me, and those that are, those that are around me that I think are real serious about their craft. And that's why everyone that's on my team is only in my circle, and it's only until, we get bigger and bigger and bigger that I'll start taking on like interns or people who want to break into the music industry in some capacity. Everyone that's currently on the team is somebody that I know and somebody that I was working with that kind of got me to this point right now. And I'm not at my final point. The company isn't at its final point, but we're at a good stepping stone right now.
For sure.
Just a side note.
And going back to the point, right? Our first conversation actually was about opportunities that can be provided. So
Right.
The first conversation was dealing with the podcast, and right now that's coming to life. This is the first episode. So when we first talked, my idea was go out to LA, just like you said, LA or New York. Go out to LA, once I finish graduating from UIC, and pursue something out there, pursue an internship or anywhere that let me into the music industry, right? That's all I've ever wanted, kind of, to be famous. I've had conversations with my parents, I've had conversations with a lot of people where it's like, one day I'm gonna be fucking famous. And when you think about it, a lot of people will tell you, nah, it's not attainable. But what's so unattainable about being famous? There's so many people out there that get into politics. If you say you want to be the president of the United States, a large amount of people will laugh at you, just like they laugh at you when you say you want to be famous.
Yeah.
So who's to stop you from doing what you want to do, right? And right now, we're starting from level 1 on a fucking company and making things happen now. One-stop shop, just like we were talking about. Going back into the, real topic of today, right? Fame really does create a mental toll on people. And for me, that's something that I do want. And I feel like, in a sense, we've all had somewhat of a small look into it, whether you're inside a specific group or you're doing, your regular 9-to-5 job. You have to be professional for most of the time, and you have to watch what you're saying for a lot of things. Everybody and everything you do reflects on the people that are within the organizations that you're involved in. So having that being said, it's kind of like a little look into fame, right? And one artist that I think about a lot when I think of that is Eminem. Eminem talks about being famous and careful what you wish for. I don't know if you're familiar with the song, but there's also Say Goodbye to Hollywood, right? In the song, he specifically says, for me to have this much and feel like this is it, he has the world in his hands at this point. This is once his Eminem Show album drops. So It's probably around 2005. He's peaking at this point. He's ready to retire. And after this, he drops Encore, which was his comeback album. So really, it's like, for him to have this much, like, every single thing he's ever asked for, he's achieved everything he could have wished for. He's achieved and owned it all. Where do you go from there? In reality, it's like, how do you deal with something like that? If you were to have every single thing you could have ever wished for, money doesn't matter to you anymore. All you want is your, in a sense, identity back. What do you do?
Honestly, I think once you become famous, that's over. And, I can only speak so much on it. I'm not famous,
Yeah.
But I feel like once you, from the outside looking in, it's like, once you become famous, like, you're in the public eye, and that's it. And it's like, whether you drop another song or not, like, people are going to know you. And I just feel like that's what comes with being famous. I don't think you can ever achieve your prior normalcy, you know what I mean? It's like, you have to have a new normal at that point. It's like, okay, I'm Eminem, but I no longer write songs, but it's like, I'm still Eminem. Like, people are still going to have this idea of me, and it's like, I don't think you can ever let go of that, especially, too, if you're active on social media, or even if you just have a social media page, like, stuff that people say about you, you can see that. And then I see, from other, like, artists that their friends and family will see it, and they'll be like, oh, did you see what so-and-so said? And it's just like, that's pretty much why artists have, like, PR and people that do that stuff for them, so that they don't have to look at that, and they don't have to respond to any of that, or not respond, because, like you said, you have to, when you're famous, you have to maintain a certain image. And it's like, a lot of people that become famous, especially, rappers or just artists in general, it's like their, how do I say, like, their personality might not be fit to just be like, oh, I'm not going to reply to this person, whatever. They might just be like, man, fuck you, whatever. And then, like, boom, it blows up into this whole spiral. Me, personally, honestly, I feel like if you're famous, I feel like it doesn't matter if you're the president or you're a rapper. If somebody talks ill about you and you want to fucking say some shit back to them, I feel like you have every fucking right to. Just because I'm Eminem doesn't mean I'm still not a person and I can't say some shit back. Like, have you fucking listened to Eminem songs talking about killing his fucking mom? Like,
hey, For
You know what I mean?
for
If he would
sure.
kill his own mom, I'm sure he wouldn't care about killing one of us. So,
You're right.
but to answer, I feel like you can't come back. Once you're famous, that's it. I
Yeah.
mean, even us being at like such a small level and having stuff on the internet, it's like our name's gonna be there.
For sure.
Our likeness is gonna be there. Our music's gonna be there.
And a lot of artists actually, have this problem where they don't want the fame anymore. They've achieved all that success and they say, okay, I'm done. And some are successful with separating their daily lives from their fame. One artist I can think of off the top of my head, Adele. She drops an album like every 4 years, disappears, drops one, disappears, right? She'll do her little Grammy and Oscar performances and say, all right, peace out. And then you also have artists such as Bryson Tiller. Bryson Tiller is a great artist, someone that I listen to all the time. And watching a lot of his interviews, he talks about how he never wanted to be famous. One day, Don't just blew up, and we were talking about this the one time.
Actually, yeah.
It was
Couple weeks
he was
ago.
working at Papa John's or something like that. And
Oh yeah,
someone asked him,
they're like, when'd you stop working at Papa John's? He's like, I became famous.
For real. I mean, why would you stop working at Papa John's when you have a #1 song, right? I don't know if it was actually number
Shout out
one,
Bryson
but
Tiller.
yeah, for real. During the interview, Bryson Tiller talks about how he's going back to school. He wants to be a video game, what is it? Developer. Yeah, a video game developer. And, he doesn't want to be famous anymore. He doesn't want to make music anymore. He makes it for his own pleasure. He took a 5-year gap from Trap Soul to Anniversary. And that Anniversary album is called Anniversary because he dropped it 5 years to the date of Trap Soul being released. And even the first song that he has on the album, it's called Years Go By. And in the prelude to the song starting, he talks about, 5 years are going to go by and you're making music for people that just want to hear you. You're trying to chase something that's unattainable to you. The type of music that the mainstream media wants isn't what you're about. And it's so hard for him to accept, what the fans want in a sense, right? Not the mainstream pop music. They want straight up trap soul. Really, that's why so many artists disappear, because they're criticized for every little thing that they possibly do. And it's like, how do you stop that?
As long as there's a screen there to divide people, it's never gonna stop. Because I was talking about this with a coworker. Like, everyone loves to hide behind screens, and they don't like to say shit to anyone's faces anymore. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I don't talk shit on the internet. Like, if I'm gonna talk shit to you, I'm gonna say it to your face.
For real.
You know what I mean? Like, but I feel like as long as there's screens, people are always gonna feel confident enough to say shit to somebody else. And that's why I'm saying, like, well, shit, if somebody can sit behind a screen and say that shit to me, and they're my so-called fan or whatever, like, why can't I say shit back to them? I'm still a person at the. To me, yeah, I might be a platinum artist, but like, I'm a person before anything. And if you're gonna fucking talk out my name to me like that, I'm gonna say some shit back to you. I don't care if I have $1 million or $1. I'm gonna talk some shit to you.
But you gotta realize your position in life. These are people that are being taunted by people who are looking for what they have. Another artist that, talks about it is Justin Bieber in his latest song, Monster. He says, what if I trip, what if I fall, then I am the monster, right? It's like every little thing that you do gets looked at by a microscope. At the end of the day, it's like, we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
I'm the bad guy for saying something that I felt, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's with your parents, like,
Right.
you become the bad guy for saying something that was true to you.
Right.
What if I trip? What if I slip up? Then why am I so bad for making that mistake? There's so many instances where growing up, you're going to make so many different mistakes. And the toll that this takes on somebody's, mental health, being told, oh, you did this, so you're bad. Like, a lot of people who, go out and party, they're told, well, you're not getting your things done. But nobody really understands that person better than they understand themselves, right? You can put up an image, you can put up a persona of somebody that you are, and at the end of the day, you know, nobody's gonna know the real you.
Right.
So being famous is almost like creating a fake character. It's creating an image for somebody else. And at the end of the day, you know, you are who you are. I am who I am. You know, it's like it's just a crazy thing.
I just feel like, and I agree, but then it's like you kind of like said it with your words. Like at that point, it's about perspective. Like, and I hate to bring this dude up, but look at 6ix9ine. Like, at first everyone loved him, right? But no, not everyone. Like everyone, there's people that were like, "Oh, his music's good," and there's people like, "Oh, his music sucks." There was nothing about his antics yet. It was just about his music. Then it became less about his music and more about his antics, right? Look at what just happened last week. He still has followers, and he still hit 24 million views on his video. So, again, it then goes back to what you're saying. He might be putting on that persona for everybody. That's why he's doing that, so he can get clicks and shit like that, because he gets monetized from YouTube. That video, actually, they demonetized it and took it off because that video that he posted, or that video that he took of him running up on Meek Mill, he used it in the video, and Meek Mill's company sent Tekashi's company a cease and desist letter because they're using his likeness to profit. It's against copyright laws, and that's a smart ass thing. So he did all that jazz to just have, you know, to get paid off this video, and Meek just took that away from him.
Yeah, and you know, in reality, 6ix9ine's fame got to his head, right? You know, at some point he didn't even need to be around all the gang members. You know,
I think that everything that's happening was kind of part of his plan. I don't think he thought he was gonna get ratted, or like his team was gonna go against him, and then he was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna have to rat and then go to jail." I don't think that's what happened. That was in his plan, but that definitely made him have to change. So that's why I think he's just like more about antics as opposed to like music. Because before he went to jail, like at least he was previewing new music. Now it's like, all right, let me get real relevant again real quick and then drop this one. Like I bet you he has hella shit in the vault. Definitely.
True.
Every artist has hella shit in the vault. But
sure.
I feel like once he was like, all right, I'm going to prison. I feel like he had to rework himself too. And then and the thing that, sorry, tangent, but the thing that kind of blows my mind is how his ass was in witness protection, but then he's still just going around, and then people are catching him on the street. So it's almost like, are you not in witness protection or are you not? And if you're on witness protection, you're fucking stupid for because I don't know if y'all saw 600 Breezy talking to him, but that man is for real. He don't give a fuck for real. And he doesn't even personally have to pull the trigger. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to incriminate anybody, but he doesn't even have to personally pull the trigger. You know, there's other artists that, like Meek, you know, they're trying to protect their image and not be, especially people who've already been in jail like Meek. But man, I just think you're right, he let that shit get to his head, but he did have an overall plan to just like attack and use that fame, that little buzz to then, you know,
branch out.
You know, get money, get views on his thing. But then look, Meek took that away.
Yeah.
And back to the point at hand. We were talking about how like not like you had to be a specific person and like you're not really allowed to talk back to people. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
So like Tekashi, that's how he is. He's literally running up on people, running up back on fans, talking shit to people, calling people out on their live and shit like that. So that's what I'm saying. After all that, he still has a following. Now, even though you and I, or I don't know how you feel, but even though I think, you know, he's a rat and that I don't really respect him or fuck with his music, and I don't fuck with the way he's trying to become famous and be relevant, that's me and maybe a million other people, but there's still a whole other million people, 24 million people to be exact, that fuck with him. So I feel like the notion of that you have to be somebody like this, I don't think that's for real. I think that's just like, that's an industry thing. Because then you have to think about it too, a lot of these artists are with labels.
Yeah.
And the bigger the label and the more money they give you up front, the less control you have over yourself. And so even though it is a persona that you're putting on for everybody, you still don't have control of that persona. That's what I'm saying. It's like, how do you create a character and then you can't do nothing with it? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, sometimes you just got to be authentic with it, you know?
And and that's why I feel like artists, or not even just artists, any celebrity should be able to do that, like say something back and not be afraid to lose their career or be jeopardized. And you know what? That's what I'm saying with the screens. Everyone's gonna say something about something. You know, like someone's gonna say something about this podcast for no reason.
And I do think that, everybody starts somewhere. Every persona starts somewhere, and after that persona does become something bigger, you can become whoever you want to be. One good example would be Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny started out as a Latin trap artist that was doing exactly that, making Latin trap music.
Yeah.
His music, although it has some elements of trap music still, it is completely different from what he was when he started. Soy Peor is completely different from Estamos Bien.
Right.
One song that really does heavily focus on his mental health aspect, because before that song dropped, Bad Bunny disappeared. When he came back with the long hair, came back with the beard, came back with the piercings, and a brand new persona. But that persona's not fake anymore. It's who he actually is. Everybody knows the haircut he had before with the shaved head and the line. And then he came back with curly hair. Like, dude, that's crazy. Like,
and even before that, he just had a fade. Like, he just had like a two
bald head.
Around, yeah.
Had a grill. Had a bunch of chains. Like, if you see Bad Bunny now, he's not rocking diamonds like that. Maybe he has like a gold chain, but
yeah,
it's a complete different style.
Yeah,
and that comes with either growing up, or that just comes from being authentic, being who you really are.
Then too, I just think how the world was going, or how the world is now, and the past couple years, I feel like he just changed as a person. So not necessarily that the trap version of him wasn't who he really was, but that he just kind of changed.
For sure.
Because even me, when I was an artist, I was rapping about certain shit, but it's like I don't do that shit no more. So why am I gonna rap? Why am I gonna rap about it? You know what I mean?
Also, when that music was coming out, that was like 4 or 5 years ago now. So
shit, yeah.
he was like
Completely
21,
person,
22.
Yeah. Still working in that grocery store and shit like that. Like, her just got discovered from that grocery store. So
Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's honestly, it's such a crazy thing that another aspect is time. Time just really changes a lot of things, and time will impact your mental health just as much as fame.
Yeah.
But
because he even says it in that album. I'm gonna butcher the name, but it's Yo hago que me da la gana, and for those who don't speak Spanish, that means pretty much I do what I want. And I don't know how you would officially call it, but the name of the song is like a heart with the fucking thing in a 3. I don't know if you would call that corazón or heart, like what he would call that, but he says in there that pretty much that the fame has like made him sick, and like he doesn't really like, to paraphrase, he doesn't really feel like himself anymore.
he was ready to retire.
And that he was gonna drop in 6 months, that he from when he released
9 months.
I do was it 9 months?
Yeah,
Yeah.
9 months.
When he dropped the album I Do What I Want, but he was like, in 9 months I'm gonna drop another album and retire like Miguel Cotto, the Puerto Rican boxer. And I remember when I heard that, like me and all these other people that are Bad Bunny fans were like, no, what? But then you gotta think about too, like people just wanted his ass to release music because he sounded raw. And like that's a whole other problem too amongst like being an artist in today's age. That's like one of my favorite songs because he really does. He talks about it all. He lays it all out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Honestly, Bad Bunny's got a lot of
came back,
content. Hey, bro, Bad Bunny merch, right? Hey, but at the end of the day, there's so much that goes into being famous, and there's so much to, the mental aspect of it. Yeah. It's really, can you handle it? If you can handle it, do you want to handle that, right? And that's just a question that I think a lot of people will always ask themselves.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, if you want to be a politician, go be a politician. If you want to be a singer, pursue that. Nobody can tell you can't do something as long as you surround yourself with the right people.
Well, they can tell you, just tell them to fuck off.
You go, too.
Because then there's just more motivation. That's why I'm here. Shit, I had one of my own friends tell me recently, like, congrats on the studio, and his ass was like, you ain't gonna be an artist, you ain't gonna do no music shit. And I was like, oh, okay.
For real. There's gonna be so many people that tell you can't do something, and at the end of the day, as long as you're focusing on your mental well-being, and making sure that everything you have your hands in is taken care of, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
And and
And a lot of people can't handle that, and unfortunately, that's why, we've had so many recent deaths about like overdoses and stuff like that. Like, fucking Mac Miller, Lil Peep. Even though I didn't really listen to Lil Peep, like still, I mean, even if it's someone you don't fuck with, like that's still tragic. What was he, like 22, 24 for some shit some shit? I don't even know.
Something like that.
But like, and then too, it's like some people are already into that before they got famous, and then just being famous just escalates it. And now you got all this money, so you can do even more drugs, and like, then that's just like a whole other problem. And whether you want to talk about fentanyl being and all this other shit, which is another like, still the fact of the matter is they were doing those drugs, and like still that
there's a lot of
I don't think they're bad people for that, but that's still it's still not healthy for you. You know what I mean? And like, if you know anyone that's clearly abusing that, don't try to like force them to stop. Try to understand them as to why they're doing that, because you just wanting to put your foot down and be like, no, you got to stop this, is going to make them want to do it even more.
For real. And there's so many details that always come out after the fact. Like recently, Juice WRLD, they talked about Juice WRLD was going to enter rehab, that he was willingly going to go. So, there's so many what ifs in this world. At the end of the day, make sure that what if is oh well, right? At least I did it. Don't focus on what could have been, focus on what you did. Well, drugs, everything else of that sort, that's going to be for another time. Yeah. But that's going to be the end of the first podcast, Sad Boy Radio, SBR. Thank you for coming, guys, and thank you to my boy Vic for hopping on.
Of course, bro, of course.
For sure.
Shout out my boy Matt. This is a great idea he's got going on. I'm excited for y'all to see these episodes that he's got coming up. Hit up Blue Door Studios for all your needs. One stop shop studio here in Chicago, Illinois.
One stop shop.
One stop shop.
Shout out
for real, if you know anyone that's abusing drugs, bro, just try to be there for them. For real. I know we're talking about that, but for real, try to be there for them.
This is Sad Boy Radio.